Namaste. In chapter 9, we are going to see a lot of water conservation techniques. Of course, you will have to read the chapter to know it in detail. In this video, I'll cover a little bit of it. But before we go into the water conservation part, let us look at sustainability in general. So when we say sustain, the word itself means that taking up something and keeping it on for a considerable period of time. Like how our culture has been sustained for so many years. Traditional practices have been sustained for so many years, thousands of years, in fact. Or in fact, and many of the things are very, very deep that way. So it means that sustain or sustainability requires a lot of effort. It requires multi-generational effort. And the knowledge has to be transferred from one generation to another. So look at your own family practices. How is it sustained? Your grandfather or your grandmother follows a set of practices. They hand it over to your parents, and your parents teach you right from your childhood. And you observe them, you learn from them. You also innovate, you also add your own insights on top of them. And that is how you sustain those practices. So sustainability means it requires a multi-generational effort. And the Indian knowledge systems, the whole of Indian knowledge system has been a multi-generational effort. It has been offered in patashalas, at homes, in chatrams, in tinnais. Wherever possible, every situation was used as a learning situation, in forests, gurukulams, and large university settings as well. It means that a lot of people have put in effort to ensure that these practices are handed down from one generation to another, through oral tradition, through written tradition, through poems, through songs, through carvings, through architecture, and so many things. So in 2015, the United States member nations came together and said, let us set some goals for 2030. We are about 7 years away from it. And they said that we need to take up these global issues and look at them seriously and bring out a plan such that all these nations can agree upon this and take concrete steps in reducing some of the problems that the society has and enhancing whatever we are already good at. So the 17 Sustainable Development Goals were sort of agreed upon by several nations. The nations said that there should be no poverty, there should be no hunger, there should be good health and well-being, good quality education, gender equality. All life forms have to be protected. The sea life forms, the ocean, the on the land life forms. Trees have to be protected, and people should consume responsibly. So that it is not just about the governments agreeing, but also as individuals, we show personal responsibility in conserving the environment by responsibly consuming things, not mindlessly just consuming things, right? So that way we have a very personal responsibility, and Indian culture, Bharatiya Parampara, is all about that personal responsibility. So when we say sustainability, the word dharma itself means to sustain. It is derived from the root word dhr, which means to hold or support. It also means to sustain. Dharma has different meanings in different contexts: ethics, roles, responsibilities, duties, religion, one's role in the larger society. And it has been inherent and at the core of Indian culture. When we say the Purushartha, Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. Dharma stands as the foundation of the whole thing. So what are some of the Indian sustainability principles? Everything is divine, whether it is a cow or a tree or a human or a river or a mountain or a forest. Everything is looked at as a sacred aspect of our life. And the whole of nature is sacred, and we are part of it. There is an interdependence between humans, living things, and non-living things. Changes in one impacts the other. So it is not like I'm a living thing, there's the non-living thing there, I can just use it for my own pleasure and growth. I have to use it responsibly because the natural resources are limited. We keep digging the earth for oil. We keep digging the earth for coal. gold, in fact. So many of these resources are precious and are also limited. It is not like infinitely they are available. So it is important that we use them mindfully. And that our dharma teaches. So everything in nature happens in a cycle. It is important to preserve this cycle, right? For example, you grow trees. The trees attract clouds. Clouds bring rain. That rain brings, that rain falls on the soil. It helps plants to grow. And that is what we harvest and live upon. So it means that if any part of the cycle is broken by cutting the trees or not conserving water or not growing food properly, then it can be a huge problem for all of us on the planet. So understanding this cycle is a very crucial thing. And nature is not mechanical, but it is conscious. You would have seen that trees have roots underground, and there's a huge network of communication that happens between one tree and another. Any thread that is faced by one tree is transmitted to another tree by this huge web of networks. And that conscious process, that intelligent process has to be understood. So everything in nature is intelligent. Look at the bees. How do they make their hives? Amazing. It's one of the strongest structures. And even, in fact, we use the honeycomb, architecture in many of our applications. In fact, I heard that one paint company, they use this honeycomb structure to have the structure of their chemicals in the paint, which ensured that the quality of the paint is enhanced. So by observing nature, there is so much that we can learn because it's a conscious living entity. So in fact, these principles are followed through simple daily activities. For example, you draw a rangoli with rice powder so that you can feed them to the ants. So don't put medicated powder there to shoo away the ants. So we pour water to tulsi plant daily and do namaskara. We go around the tulsi plant because it takes care of, Ma Tulsi takes care of all our health needs for the family. And we wash the front yard with cow dung so that the bad germs are killed and good microbes grow, which make us healthy and happy, in fact. So we take a small portion of cooked rice and offer it to crows. One thing is the crows represent our ancestors. And also crows ensure that cleanliness is there in the environment. Sorry, the word should be crows there, not cows. And chanting mantras that express gratitude to the divine forces, including nature, that take care of all our needs. So whether it is the Akasha, Vayu, Agni, we pray to them and show our gratitude because they make our lives healthy and happy. So coming to water conservation, water has been revered from time immemorial. We know the story of how Bhagiratha, prayed to Ma Ganga so that she might descend on the earth and flow and nourish the entire region. It was a great tapasya that he did. So we have divine beings blessing us through their forms, by taking forms which are useful to us on earth, like Ganga, Ma Yamuna, and so many of these divine forms. So we have the Pushkaram festival, which is dedicated to the worshipping of the rivers. It is celebrated across 12 major rivers in India: Ganga, Narmada, Saraswati, Tungabhadra, Sindhu, which is the Indus River. And devotees do snana, dana, japa, puja, and offerings to the ancestors. The celebration happens once in 12 years along each river. The Pushkaram sees large gatherings of people from various parts of the country. So I had the good fortune of attending the Tamirabarani Pushkaram. And it is located, it flows across the Tirunelveli district in Tamil Nadu and nourishes throughout the year. So when you walk through the banks of the Tamirabarani, you would see that there will be lush green fields of paddy and people harvesting, sowing, and then throughout the year there is busy activity happening along the river. The Kumbh Mela is also a wonderful, excellent festival that is celebrated in 4 major places: Haridwar, Prayagraj, Ujjain, and Nasik, which are major river banks where a lot of ashramas and mathas are located. So this is also celebrated in a 12-year cycle. There is, of course, a 6-year cycle, Ardha Kumbh. And it takes 12 years because Jupiter goes through different these Rashis, which we have studied already. And it takes 12 years to complete one full revolution, right? And the Kumbh Mela is marked by taking a dip in the holy waters of the rivers, Shahi Snana. And it is a gathering of common people, saints and sadhus from all over the country and many from abroad as well. A lot of knowledge is exchanged. You will see tens and tens of mathas and ashramas and sadhus there who are eager to offer knowledge to you. Do visit the Kumbh Mela whenever you get a chance. So the Nadi Sukta, we even have a Suktam. We even have a prayer dedicated to the rivers. Imam me Gange Yamune Saraswati Shutudrisate Mam Sachata Parushnya Asikanya Marudvridhe Vitastayarji Kiye Sharnuhya Shushomaya. So this talks about various rivers, ancient rivers as well. Ganga, Yamuna, Sutudri, Parushni, Saraswati, many such rivers. In fact, the modern names include Satluj, Ravi, Chenab and Jhelum, which are found in the Punjab region. Gange cha Yamune chaiva Godavari Saraswati Narmade Sindhu Kaveri Jalesmin Sannidhim Kuru. O sacred Ganga, Yamuna, Godavari, Saraswati, Narmada, Sindhu, Kaveri, please be present in this water beside me. So we consecrate the water, telling the names of the various rivers. This is a common chant that is chanted on many occasions. Temple tanks, in fact, formed a very crucial part of water conservation. So when there is water runoff from the mountains, they come and get collected in the temple tanks during the rainy season. And they are maintained in a proper manner. In fact, many devotees, there is an offering in the temple where you desilt, remove the sand from the temple tank and offer it back in the temple. So one thing, it can be looked at as a ritual of removing sand. The second thing is it is a desilting process so that the water is maintained properly. And the temple tank is used for various purposes. In fact, during festivals, it is decorated beautifully and there is a lot of fun that children have around these temple tanks. And it also becomes, a fish pond that way. In many temples, we offer something to the fish that are there in this pond. So that way, the temple tanks were a major part of the water conservation efforts. Traditional architecture, if you see in the villages, if you look at the Kerala architecture, you had these Nadumuttams, which are the central courtyards, where the roof will be on four sides sloping and the water would collect in the center, sloped roofs. And there were water conservation techniques where this water could be collected and utilized for many purposes. And there would be a lot of channels of water, which I have mentioned in the book, which also have an aesthetic appeal as well as a water conservation effort. So there will be channels of water which will run throughout this region and ensure that a lot of water is conserved and collected. So it's a rainwater harvesting. The architecture of the house itself supports the rainwater harvesting. It's very beautiful. You should visit the Kerala houses. Zabo is a traditional practice among the Naga communities. It involves the preservation of the forests on the hilltops as there are catchment areas for the water. So the next level are the ponds dug out to hold rainwater, which is brought through the small channels. Then there is a reservoir with their bottom and sides rammed so as to reduce seepage. Then the water is passed through cattle yards and then let it into the paddy fields. This water carries the dung and urine of the animals to fields below, and it perfectly meets the nutrition of the soil. The paddy fields are also used to rear fish there by improving the usage of the fields for multiple purposes. Such is a beautiful way, right? So you start from the forest, you take the water, you pass it through different levels where it is useful, and it even passes through the cow yards so that the paddies get the natural, nutrients there. So that way, it's a very ancient and a beautiful technique. So we have mentioned in the book, you have so many other water conservation techniques throughout the country. Right from the north to the south to the east and west, you had Surangams in the Western Ghats, Korambu in the Eastern Ghats, you had Jackwells in the islands, and Mundas in the Eastern Highlands. And there are so many models of water conservation. And as you visit different places during your tours, make it a point to observe how they have conserved water in these parts of the country. So we see that throughout the country, there has been a very strong sustainability focus. A lot of effort has gone in to design wonderful systems of conserving water. Do read the chapter for more information. Namaste.